Flight boss, bitch, for sure. You're not listening to the Mind of an Aries Moon. I'm the Archangel Uriel, and I'm here to carry out God duties and motherfucking responsibilities. And we're going to talk about how to tell or guess someone's ascendant sign, even if you don't know the time. So for the most part, this is for everybody who's just into astrology, and you might be around your family, your friends, and things of that nature, and you just might be interested in to knowing how they affect you or how you are affecting them. And right here, this is the video for that right now. So this is how you pinpoint someone's ascendant. Now, this is what you always need to pay attention to, right? Because the sun is correlated to your wants and your actions. Your moon is correlated to your needs and your reactions. But your personality throughout it all, how your masculine and feminine shapes and forms that you created for yourself to be aware of yourself as a spirit, that you go into as a vessel, how these appear to be, the direction that they're going, and how they look is going to be the space, the location, the womb, the the actual area. You see, the ascendant is not a shape and form, it's not a star, it's just the womb, the space, the location that you was born into. So for the most part, you need to keep that in mind. So this is like your virtue, your persons, your spirit, your personality, your aura, how your physical shapes and forms appear to look like. So even your chakras is physical. That's what you need to know. They're just lighter cloths, lighter bodies. You see what I'm saying? So you could go through the lighter realms of realities as a spirit in those vehicles, in those spaceships. But for the most part, you got your feminine one, which is your moon, your Merkaba, and you have your masculine one, which is your sun. And you know what I'm saying? They had a bunch of children. So you got Mercury, Jupiter, you know what I'm saying? You got Venus, Mars, and things of that nature. So keep that in mind. You got Saturn, Gaia, you know what I'm saying? Tara, Tiamat, whatever y'all want to call her, and things of that nature, which is the chakra that you're on, the body of water you're on, the current you're on, relative to the other currents. So keep that in mind. So you need to understand that the house is the space, the location, the womb. So for the most part, the space is the spirit. So when you got a bunch of spaces being relative to each other, bunch of spirits being relative to each other, they create vortexes, vibrations, energy signatures. And then once those energy signatures get played out enough, they can appear to be a realm of reality or appear to be solid for these spirits could go into and experience the space that they are in, the bubble that they are in. So this is what we're doing as spirit. So when we talk about the houses, this is what y'all want to call the bubble that we are in. Y'all, we calculate these as the houses, and we split it up and understand each space of the space that we are in. So this is how we understand space within space. So you got the houses, right? So the star constellations get birthed out of the houses. So you need to keep this in mind. We got 12 houses because we break the 360 down. That's why don't be listening to anybody who keep trying to add Ophiuchus to the ecliptic, or keep trying to add because for the most part you're in a 360. So you can't add something to a sphere that's already a 360 unless you're just adding it to the 360 and not expanding the 360, if you get what I mean. Therefore, that's another video. But each constellation was birthed out of a house. So the first house gave birth to the Aries star constellation. The second house gave birth to the Taurus constellation. The third house gave birth to the Gemini constellation. The fourth house gave birth to the Cancer constellation. The fifth house gave birth to the Leo constellation. The sixth house gave birth to the Virgo constellation. The seventh house gave birth to the Libra constellation. The eighth house gave birth to the Scorpio constellation. The ninth house gave birth to the Sagittarius constellation. The 10th house gave birth to the Capricorn constellation. The 11th house gave birth to the Aquarius constellation. The group of stars, Adam and Eve and all them. Then you got the 12th house gave birth. The 12th house gave birth to the Pisces constellation. So for the most part, stars, you was born within a space also, a season also. So don't get lost into Vedic or sidereal when you're following a lost star, and then you think that and then you call yourself a star constellation that's no longer in the space that you was born into. So, and when I say things like this, y'all know this is flight astrology. When I throw little shots at Vedic and sidereal, that doesn't mean I'm taking the side of Western. They got problems also. I do all astrology, Western, Eastern, Northern, and Southern. So for the most part, I'm just Archangel Uriel. I like to bring everything into one, flight astrology. You see what I'm saying? Now, so these spaces and these locations is representing a virtue, a period of time, a person, a personality, a space. So when you want to talk about a sign, having a sign in the first house, right? Whatever sign it is always going to have the characteristics of the house that birthed it. You see what I'm saying? Because your first house is your personality. So that's how things going to appear to be for you when you're utilizing your actions and your way of reacting. You see what I'm saying? So let's get into this. Let's start off on an elemental level, right? Now, when we talk about fire, fire represents feeling and seeing and expressing. So if you see a person who like to handle their personal issues in a way of expression, or in a way of feeling, or you see what I'm saying, or in a way of expressing or seeing or feeling a way about something. You see what I'm saying? If you see a person handling their personal issues or in a spirited way, then 9 times out of 10 their ascendant may be in fire. If you see a person handling their personal issues on a common day-to-day basis in an emotional way or in a feeling way, or kind of make you feel like you got to take a piece of a burden of their responsibility, or a lot of times you feel like you can give off your burden or emotional responsibility to them because they make you feel comfortable around them or something like that, 9 times out of 10 you're dealing with a water ascendant. If you're dealing with a person who like to take care of a lot of their personal issues, due to always needing to want to call somebody or get information or talk a lot, or due to communication, or due to wanting to get information, or networking, or socializing in some type of way, a person who handle all their personal issues like that, 9 times out of 10 you're dealing with a air ascendant. And then last but not least, if you see a person who like to take care of a lot of their personal issues in ways that make sense, things that's practical, like all business, nothing personal. You know what I'm saying? When you see almost to a point that it may be dry. So when you come around them, you almost feel the sense of you better not come kicking off your worries and your emotional instabilities and things, and why you're in your incapabilities to this person. You know what I'm saying? If you feel the sense of not to do that around this person because of the way that they personally carry themselves in some way, shape, or form, 9 times out of 10 you're around a Earth ascendant. Now, that's just breaking it down from a 4-wheel. Now we're going to chop the 4-wheel into 12 pieces and things of that nature. So for the most part, let's now, reason why I broke down the houses gave birth to each sign, because this is how you're going to understand the pinpoint where a person's ascendant is at. So for the most part, right now, let's say a person is anytime you want to pinpoint. Now this is what you have to pay attention to. Pay attention to a person's personal interests. Pay attention to what a person is personally into. The things that they personally like doing, like the things that they're personally into. Not so much of their wants and needs. Remind you, their wants is their sun. Their needs is their moon. Their actions and what you see from them is their sun. Their reactions and what makes them feel comfortable and their vibe is their moon. So remind you that you don't really have to pay attention to that to understand someone's aura, their ascendant, what can appear to be these people's personalities. You see what I'm saying? So for the most part, when you're talking about a circumstance and a situation of being around a person and deciphering what they're personally into, you're starting to pay attention to a person's ascendant sign. Now, here's the thing. Now let's start it off. Say you see a person who's always constantly they're personally into themselves. You know what I'm saying? They constantly into themselves. It doesn't matter if you bring up a conversation about someone else or another celebrity. They'll ring the conversation around something that's dealing with themselves, or they just personally into themselves, or they may even personally compare themselves to whoever you're talking about, or they even may jump into personally competing a lot of times just because you too busy talking about somebody else's personality or someone else's personal issues. Then you may be around this person too. They may not necessarily want to take any toll or take any or want to give you the sense of concernment about your personal issues. Like the moment you start to kick your personal issues around, or start to bring too many of your personal affairs around, like personal people, places, and things around them around, and they start to get a little detaching a little bit and things of that nature, then 9 times out of 10 you may be dealing with an Aries ascendant. So keep that in mind. Aries ascendants. So if you're around a person like that, like they're personally into themselves, they're not really caring about how other people personally look at them and things of that nature, and then the things that they're personally into is a bunch of self-involved things. You know what I'm saying? Things that don't even involve you, and you may even find yourself having it being a hard time to make yourself a part of their personal life, or just or them creating a bunch of separate type of energy to the point that it make you feel like you can't even be in certain areas in their personal life. 9 times out of 10, you're dealing with an Aries ascendant. Now, if you're say you're around somebody who's personally into their personal interest is always dealing with morals, or always dealing with planting seeds. Like they're always trying to build something. Like you're around this person, they always trying to build something. They always trying to gain something. They may be always trying to buy something. Maybe trying to eat something a lot of times. Or just a lot of their personal interest is dealing with moral systems and the things that they, not moral systems, but the things that they value. You know what I'm saying? Whether that's a person, place, or thing. But you could look into their eyes, or you can look at their actions, or you can see the things that they're personally into and be like, man, this person really value this. And 9 times out of 10, they show appreciation for the actual things that they're valuing. And when I say show appreciation, not just communicating about it, but always around these things. They kind of like cling on to these things, or always have these things to offer, to the point that you look at this person and you kind of can't see this person without that actual thing that they value, whether that's a person, place, or thing. Even when you're not around this person, every time you picture this person, you kind of picture the thing that you can tell that they value. You know what I'm saying? 9 times out of 10, you're dealing with a Taurus ascendant. So keep that in mind also. So you might get blinded by a person who may value their relationship. You might be around a person, you might think they're a goddamn Libra. 9 times out of 10, if that's their personal interest, like you see, like this is something that they always value. And then every time you picture their personality in your head, you picture that thing, that person, place, or thing, or that relationship also. 9 times out of 10, they're Taurus ascendant. You see what I'm saying? And it's all about, it's like they're personally into possessions almost to a certain degree. And they look at everything, even people, as possessions. Now, if you're around a person right now, say a person, they're personally interested into information, going out about things in a neighborhood, being communicative. Pardon me. They're into a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? This is what they're personally into. They're personally interested. Their personally interest is dealing with talking a lot, conversating. They might be into a lot of gossip, going around the neighborhood and things of that nature. You're like, dang, this person is involved in everything. Like, you know what I'm saying? This person is personally involved in everything. This person personally know everybody. Or let's say, yeah, neighborhood wise, you know what I'm saying? This person personally be here and there. This person be personally be with this person sometimes, and then they with this person, and it's like a personally super free ass person, but just within the confines of y'all neighborhood or y'all area or y'all location. You know what I'm saying? This person keep a lot of things going. Their name is mixed in with a lot of other things going on and stuff like that, a lot of other words, and this is what they're personally interested in, and stuff like that. 9 times out of 10, they're personally into having local parties, and personally into doing things with other people locally. 9 times out of 10, you're dealing with a Gemini ascendant. You see what I'm saying? So keep that in mind. Now, say you're around a person who's personally interested into things that's always dealing with home, things that's dealing with family, things that's dealing with comfortability, things that's dealing with privacy. One of the key words right here also, this person is personally into privacy. So a lot of times you come around them, you know that a lot of things ain't disclosed, and a lot of things need to be let private, and you kind of get this sense of this around this person, and the person is personally into their emotional state. You know what I'm saying? They may be personally moody a lot of times, or they're personally interested in things that can move the emotions and feelings or the vibrations in the room in some way, shape, or form. So this person may be personally interested in comedy, or personally interested in romance, or personally interested to anything that affect the feelings and emotions on a large scale. You know what I'm saying? 9 times out of 10, you're dealing with a Cancer ascendant. You know what I'm saying? Now, say you're around a person who's personally into expressing themselves, or personally into being creative, or personally into being like center stage or something like that, and not necessarily center stage as far as a person that just want to get attention for everything, but like center stage. When you look at a stage, what is a stage? A stage could be a lot of things: a Broadway play, a show, a movie could be on stage, a sitcom. I mean, like shit, like a lot of things could be on stage. Shit, president elections could be on stage. So it's a lot of things that's on stage. A stage just means being the center of a world or something like that. So a person who, if you're around a person who constantly like to express their creativity in some type of way, expression, or they're personally into entertainment. They might be personally entertaining in some way, shape, or form. They may be personally fun and joyful around them and things of that nature. These people personally interested into all forms of creativities and things of that nature. Then 9 times out of 10, you're probably dealing with a Leo ascendant. You know what I'm saying? They probably personally into colors, personally into clothes, you know what I'm saying, and coordinating and things of that nature, and personally being personally interested into being seen, even if they're not trying to be seen. In some way, shape, or form, just how they look or whatever they're doing creates some type of mechanism to be seen in some way, shape, or form, or to be paid attention to. 9 times out of 10, you're probably dealing with a Leo ascendant. Now, say you're around a person who's personally interested into work or whatever that they're working on. They're always personally interested into whatever they're working on, or their job, or health, or routine, or scheduling, or practicality. And when I say routine, that could fall into exercising, that could fall into you know what I'm saying, working out, that could fall into school scheduling, and you know what I'm saying, that could fall into credentials, stability. You know, anytime a person who's constantly they're personally interested into keeping things in schedule, keeping things dealing with health, or something that's dealing with the criticism or details, or analyzing something, or structure, or having something to work on, or just work in general, and keyword working out. Also, people who's personally interested into these things, 9 times out of 10, you're probably dealing with a Virgo ascendant. You see what I'm saying? Now, a person who may be personally interested into relationships, personally interested into being passive, or personally interested into seeing things from other people's point of view, and personally interested into arts, creativity also to a certain degree, but being creative to the point that knowing how to become a shape and form that another person can see beneficial in some realm of reality. So you see a person who's personally interested into always wanting to be helpful, or always making their life a part of someone else's life, or making their circumstances a part of someone else's circumstance, or you just around this person. They always personally interested into making things fair. They're always personally interested into being balanced. They're always personally interested in talking too goddamn much. You know what I'm saying? They might be personally interested in now these people they're very kind and loving, but so a lot of people like them. So you might look at this person and they might not be even personally interesting. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of people like them for some reason. You know what I'm saying? The person might be dirty. Person might be they might not even clean themselves hygiene wise, or flip side. But that's not always the case. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times, but these people can be lazy. They can be lazy. You know what I'm saying? But on the flip side, these people know how to gain love in areas where people may not even thought it was. So for the most part, and you might be looking at these people, and these people know people that you didn't even know they know, like that. You know what I'm saying? So for the most part, and it's really not, it's just their communication is open in that kind of way. 9 times out of 10, you probably around a Libra ascendant. So keep that in mind. And they got habits that they want to keep secret, that they think ain't a habit, but it is a habit. Now, say you're around a person they're personally interested. You really don't know what their personal interest is, really. You know what I'm saying? So for the most part, you get intrigued by trying to figure it out, and then you get this sense of a person, like you kind of feel like, is this person testing me or something? Is this person trying to make me figure something out? Is, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you ever went on a date with someone and like the person is so cool, you know that you cool, like you know that you win. But it's little things that they do to make you feel like, damn, I've been talking to this person that long and I'm still just this, or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like you're not pinpointing something, and then and then this might have been a person that ain't even had no problems with fucking you too. You know what I'm saying? So you think that thing's already going to go from point A to point B, but it never actually reached point B. It stayed in some type of blurred line between point A and B. And then you be sitting there thinking that it's always going to get to B because point A was already cleared, but it never completely go to point B. Like, you ever been around these kind of people and things of that nature? 9 times out of 10, you probably dealing with a Scorpio ascendant. You see what I'm saying? These are people where you're never going to know unless you put the time in to know. You know what I'm saying? These are a lot like the Aries ascendant. You know what I'm saying? But not expressive with it. So for the most part, they can become stubborn. So these people are personally interested into themselves, but they also don't even want others to know what they're personally into, which is themselves. And a lot of times, they can be personally interested into what other people are personally interested in, but they don't want to disclose that or show that based upon what they can do within a scenario when a person chooses to align themselves in a way that they show what the Scorpio ascendant is interested in. So the Scorpio ascendant won't actually want to tell you that they're interested in that, but they may do certain things in order for you to bring that to the forefront yourself. Therefore, the Scorpio ascendant don't have to share the responsibility of feeling like they're the reason why this went right or wrong in the first place, but at the same time can still to enjoy the experience. Y'all Scorpios, y'all know what I'm talking about. It's hard to explain, but this is like an Aries Scorpio thing because that Mars, you know what I'm saying? So it's we get it, but it's hard to explain. So as an Aries sun sign, I can only act in this way. And then I'm in the home right now, and then I'm in the cave, so I got a Scorpio 4th house. So this is where y'all see the darkest, the feminine darkness of that come out. And I got Pluto in the 4th house also. So you see the darkness come out. So I can only express it. I don't know how to explain it. You know, fire and water, we got a hard time of putting things into words or making sense out of things, aka earth and air. That's why I need y'all motherfuckers. And I be having to force myself into my Venus and my Mars sign because both of those are actually in a cusp, air earth cusp. So you know what I'm saying? Like, whoo, I be grasping for air and land in my Venus and my Mars. But since my Venus opposed my moon, it makes me uncomfortable to do that sometimes. It makes me uncomfortable to try to make sense and be logical sometimes. My true state of being don't want to be that because, see, Venus opposite my moon. And then, you know, by Mars sextiling, well, trining. Yeah, by Mars trining my actual, my Venus, it put me in a circumstance, in a situation where they wash out my moon sometimes. So I become very chaotic or nerve-wracking around people. I don't know how to feel comfortable around people because I force myself because I got more alignments with my other angles that don't correlate with my sun, moon, and ascendant. So a lot of times, but this ain't about me. This is about the ascendants in general. So for the most part, when we're talking about if you're around a person who's personally into morality or personally into spirituality or personally into God, or personally into hold on, we're gonna finish the 8th house. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna finish the 8th house energy now. Like I said, but these can correlate with this also. But if you're around a person who's personally dark, you don't really know what their personal interest is. But then if you are around them long enough and you do know their personal interest, you find out that these people are personally into very deep things. They're personally into deep things, and then they could communicate about these things all day. You know what I'm saying? Once you make them not feel vulnerable and you make them feel comfortable enough to open that part up around you. Remind you, Scorpio ascendants a lot of times have Gemini in the 8th house. So with Gemini being in the 8th house, this makes a person like to externally communicate deep taboo things and things that's in the dark and things that people don't normally like to talk about. These people like to see what other people think about these things, how other people communicate about these things, because they got Gemini in the 8th house there. So when you got Scorpio being in the 1st house, this is what makes a person automatically personally deep, because a Scorpio ascendant is going to be curious and try to gain all the information and communicate things about the eighth house type things, and then it gets filtered through your personality. You see what I'm saying? So 9 times out of 10 you'll be around a Scorpio ascendant. Now if you are around a person who has a if you are around a person who got all right, my bad, y'all. I had to take that call. Um, for the most part, damn, where the fuck I left off at? I think I was on a first house. Okay. If you're around a person and they're personally into their moral systems. I mean, you can't even change their moral systems even if you tried. You know what I'm saying? You're around a person um that their personal interest is in expressing their spirituality in some way, shape, or form. They're personally interested into expressing what they've learned, whether it's small educational wise or whether it's on a large educational degree. But for the most part, they're willing to all constantly express their wisdom or their knowledge or what they know spiritually or moral wise or and then a lot of times it's going to be dealing with philosophy. So a lot of times they may be personally interested into not believing in God or personally interested into believing in God. But you're going to know that's their personal interest because that's what they're going to be expressing. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of times you could come across a logical atheist or something like that, and they're not going around expressing to people on a day-to-day basis that they don't believe. You know what I'm saying? But if you get this person, 9 times out of 10, this is a Sagittarius ascendant who willing to express it. You see what I'm saying? So for the most part, but a lot of times they have spiritual systems, a Sagittarius ascendants. But you're gonna know that they're gonna have some type of moral system, some type of spiritual system in some way, shape, or form. So keep that in mind. Now let's talk about um if you're around a person who they're personally interested into status, career, goals, um, credentials. You know what I'm saying? This is the person like everywhere y'all go. A lot of times you don't even care about certain things, but these be the first people to ask. But what do they do? Or how they get money? Or what kind of title do this person got? Or what position this person? You know what I'm saying? You ever been around a person that care more about that than what y'all actually doing? They care more about the place and how the place look than what the fuck y'all going there to that place that actually do and things of that nature. 9 times out of 10, you probably dealing with a Capricorn ascendant, so keep that in mind. You know what I'm saying? This is a person who's personally into status, how they're seen, what they're known for, and things of that nature. Now, say you're around a person who's a lot of times they personally get around. Like, say you're around a person who's constantly, like, they personally informative. They personally detaching a lot of times. Like, they like to be separate while being separate at the same time. So these are the people who can be around a lot of people, but at the same time don't like to be but at the same time like to be their own unique individuals within that circle. This is what they're personally interested in, and they're personally interested into their phone. They're personally interested into new things, new apps. They're personally interested into knowing a lot of people. So these are people who they might not even know really know nobody, but goddamn they are aware of everybody to the point that you think they know everybody, but they don't really know nobody truly like that, and things of that nature. 9 times out of 10 you probably dealing with an Aquarius ascendant, so this will probably be an Aquarius ascendant, so keep that in mind. Also, getting into and these are people that just personally into, there's always something new around them, you know what I'm saying, or something being unique about them in some way, shape, or form, or what they're personally interested in. And they always like to personally be detached. They don't like to be personally absorbed or mixed and mingled into anyone else's current or flow or shine. You know what I'm saying? Because it's the opposite of Leo also. Now, so this what makes them selfish a lot of times too. And then last but not least, if you are a person who's personally into their dreams, they're personally into daydreaming all the time, they're personally into creativity, they're personally into imagination, they're personally into the supernatural, they're personally into art, cartoons, they're personally into, like, they almost like never grow up to a certain degree, almost like Leo ascendants and things. And this is a person who's personally into the supernatural, fantasy, almost to a religion too, almost to religion to a certain degree. A person who's personally into connecting with the collective conscious in some way, shape, or form, to the point that they always got some far out, dreamy way of explaining something. And this person may be expressive also. You know what I'm saying? They may be expressive also, like the Leo ascendant. So keep that in mind. But a lot of times they just do it in a way that connect more with your feelings, other than a way that connect with them just being seen in some way, shape, or form, and causing feelings. 9 times out of 10, you're probably dealing with a Pisces ascendant. Flight bus, bitch. Goddamn air.